Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jay Shockblast here, and today we are going to launch the Shockcast 2.0. That's right, I tried this about a year ago at E3 last year, and I thought it went well, but I just kind of didn't keep doing it. So we're back, and we're going to refocus, and we're going to call this the Shockcast FPS, with a focus on first-person shooters and throwing in some third-person shooters, stuff like that. I'm going to have a co-host here. We're going to have my buddy Mark, a.k.a. Madman. You've seen him in many of the Call of Duty montage videos that I've been putting out. And how you doing today, man?
What's up, everybody? I'm having a good day so far, man. Kind of excited to start this off.
Yeah, so it's something that we've been talking about for a while, and we definitely want to. We feel like we both know quite a bit about the shooter genre, and want to just talk about it with all you fine folks on YouTube. So, Mark, what's your go-to game, and how long have you been playing shooters?
Yeah, I've been playing first-person shooters since PC times. I started with a game called Mech Warrior, which I'm sure a lot of guys out there will know. And then when the Xbox came out, gravitated towards Halo. Played a little bit of Counter-Strike before that, but I was never die-hard like a lot of other guys were. But in fact, we still have clan members that still play Counter-Strike. So, but I definitely started with Halo, and we progressed on. And when Call of Duty 4 came out, I've been a COD player ever since. So I'm definitely a Call of Duty fanboy.
Well, hey, I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. So you do have your clan, Death of Hope. What can you tell me about Death of Hope?
Death of Hope has a really good story, man. The vast majority of the clan members have been together now for 10 years. We've been professional gamers in the past. It started with Perfect Dark Zero, which was an Xbox 360 launch title. We were a top 3 clan in the world. Back then, Game Battles was not owned by Major League Gaming, but Game Battles was pretty much the place for all elite players to go and play on.
Sweet. How many people do you guys have?
We're at 25 members right now.
Nice. So mostly Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, mostly Call of Duty, but all of our clan kind of plays everything. Not to try to sound like we're a jack of all trades, but Call of Duty is definitely our focus. We've dabbled in Battlefield. In fact, I've hopped on the Battlefield with you before.
Absolutely. So I carry the team and just help level you up. That's how we do it.
Yeah, it's more like I heal your tank and take your shots for you.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but in any event, so as far as I go, it's funny. Like my journey into shooters is kind of unexpected. I think the first shooter I ever really played was probably Call of Duty 3, and it was just by accident. I was living in Florida, and my roommate Jake happened to rent it, and everybody was kind of using my Xbox, and it just happened to be on, and he wasn't there, and I figured, what the hell, I'll try it out. I was never into shooters growing up. I was always sports games for the most part, or a lot of your like Crash Bandicoots and Final Fantasy and stuff like that. So it wasn't until really Call of Duty World at War that I really started saying, hey, this is actually pretty cool, something I'd like to play quite a bit. And I think I started playing pretty much anything that involved a gun from there. And Battlefield has definitely been my game since Bad Company 2. I played that game religiously, and I can't even tell you how many hours I have put into it. So obviously with Battlefield 3, played tons of that. But at this point, as anybody that's followed the channel knows, I've played tons of shooters here. So that's us. That's me and Mark, and we're definitely gonna have other people on from time to time. Guys from Death of Hope will probably be joining us, and we'll definitely have Chrome from Analog Hype from time to time. And then of course all my Battlefield buddies like Wally from Team Iconic. I'm sure he'll join us at some point. But hey, let's cut the intro and get right into business, if you will. This was a big year for shooters. E3 was just about a week ago, actually about 2 weeks ago, as of tomorrow, and we saw some pretty exciting stuff. for the world of the first-person shooter. There's going to be 3 big ones coming out. Obviously, the yearly addition to the Call of Duty franchise this year is Ghost, and we've got some Battlefield 4. And I think the next big one that we're going to start talking about when it finally launches is an Xbox exclusive called Titanfall. So I know, Mark, you've had a chance to check some of these out. It's very specifically Call of Duty Ghosts. I mean, that's kind of your baby in the shooter world. What are you guys and you specifically thinking so far about Ghosts?
I mean, we're definitely pretty excited about it. There's been some ups and downs, certainly with Infinity Ward, so there's a little bit of reservation here. Nobody's ready to jump ship by any means. What they offered for us for E3 as far as the multiplayer was concerned looks interesting. It's definitely about how they support it at launch and how some of the new systems are going to work together.
Sure. Now, for most people, I mean, at least from what I can read and see, most people seem to be the opposite of you guys. You guys definitely seem to gravitate towards the Treyarch games, and I kind of feel the same way. What makes you hesitant about the Infinity Ward offerings?
It's not even that we're hesitant. I mean, we definitely recognize Infinity Ward for kind of being the innovators, if you may, where Treyarch's a little bit like the 3M of Call of Duty.
Right.
They don't build the best game, but they make that game even better. Treyarch's strong point has always been in my personal opinion is map design. They don't always go with cookie cutter, make half of a map and then clone it on the other side.
Right.
So it makes it a little more interesting on what side you're on, depending on what game type you're on, what spawns you want to force. Respawns tend to be a little bit better on Treyarch type games. So for me, it's more that they make a balanced game better.
So what do you think about the Call of Duty dog? That seems to be the talk of Ghosts. You haven't seen him, have you?
No.
So basically, it's funny. Like ever since the Xbox event where they showed off, Call of Duty Ghosts for the first time, there's a dog in the single player, and I think he has a name. I think it's like Riley or something like that. And just ever since then, just all the meme makers have been out there full force. Hey, Call of Duty, now you have dogs. And just kind of making fun of the dog because they really focused a lot on the dog in a lot of the stuff that they've done. So I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of funny to mention it, but hey, they even referenced it during their E3 showing because somebody made like a Twitter name called Caller Duty, collar like a dog collar,
like a dog collar.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny how that's out there. Now,
Call of Duty has single player.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's the only reason I buy it at this point because, man, I don't know what happened to me. Like when I made the conversion to Battlefield, they're just 2 different game types, and I can't do the fast-paced. The fast-paced stuff with Call of Duty. I mean, a lot of Call of Duty, what makes you successful is, learning how the spawns work and, learning the maps. And by the time I ever, finally get into it, like everybody has all that stuff down. And I mean, I feel like I'm a competent shooter, but when it comes to Call of Duty lately, I can't hack it. I can't keep up, and I get so angry, as you're well aware.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really steep learning curve on all game types. I mean, it wasn't easy for me to hop into Battlefield 3.
Sure.
I mean, an exception would probably be Metro. I mean, that's a shooter's map. It plays like Call of Duty on that map, on that particular map scheme. So, but yeah, it's tough when you don't start off with it and you don't put in a significant amount of time in the beginning. You're going to fall behind.
So, what do you want to see with Call of Duty Ghosts? Like, is there anything specific that you think they could do to make it better?
Well, right now, like score streaks are a little bit overpowered.
Okay.
They're not leaving it up to the shooter as much as we've seen in prior, especially in even like Black Ops 1. Mortar team's nowhere near as devastating and or accurate as Lightning Strike is.
Okay.
You see a lot of pro gamers, they tend to use Hellstorm missile into a Lightning Strike into maybe a Sentry gun. Those particular kill streaks are not very hard to get. You're talking about like 5-6 kills, 4 or 5 with hardline, and then you just cycle. So it doesn't make it very difficult. So it's a very air-dominated game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like good counterbalances, but I mean, a flak jacket's not going to stop you from some of these kill streaks.
Gotcha. So you'd like to see them find a little bit more of a balance with that?
I would. Yep.
Gotcha. So this, I believe, is going to be a little bit more in the future. After I don't know who's supposed to have kind of invaded us, if it's like China or whatnot. But I think that might be Battlefield.
Yeah, that is definitely Battlefield.
Yeah, I know Battlefield is definitely in China. What do you, when it comes to weapons?
Yeah.
I mean, are you kind of the type that likes your kind of old standby, or I mean, do you want to see them start, introducing more and more kind of futuristic type of weapons?
Well, I mean, so a lot of the draw to Call of Duty is that the vast majority of weapons are real weapons.
Right.
And for me, that's awesome. I mean, I would have never known about, like, for instance, in World at War, I would have never known about the PPSH if it wasn't for that game. And then I get to look it up and look at how cool this gun was. You know what I mean? It was a Tommy gun for World War II.
Sure.
So it was really cool. So I like old standbys.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that's always the worry is, like, especially like with Bad Company going into Battlefield 3, was that some of the guns just kind of felt different, and you almost had to kind of relearn how you use guns in a Battlefield game at first, because they kind of redid a lot of stuff in that regard. But obviously, the Bad Company line was definitely a different series than the straight Battlefield line.
Well, actually, Jay, not to interrupt you, to interrupt you, we went through the same thing with Call of Duty. Take a gun as simple as the Scar, right?
Sure.
Just a mid-level assault rifle with decent power, medium-sized clip, and a slow rate of fire, which is actually really good for recoil, right? Because you can hold on your barrel a little bit more. Treyarch and Infinity Ward treated that gun very, very differently.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely had to relearn it. So even though the sights looked similar, it wasn't the same gun anymore, and that's why I think you saw a lot of people gravitate away from it in this newest Black Ops offering, Black Ops 2.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Scar, because that was always my favorite gun in MW2, I think it was.
Yep, absolutely.
And,
it was broken in MW2.
Yeah, and in Bad Company 2, it was also my favorite gun. And when we switched over to Battlefield 3, DICE, the same studio, they kind of changed the mechanics of the Scar too.
Yeah, they recalibrated it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that gun just everybody likes to change it up. So before we move on from Call of Duty, obviously every year they're kind of breaking their own record as the biggest selling game of all time.
Yeah.
What makes people keep coming back? Because Call of Duty gets they're kind of like that kind of top 40 band that all the what's the word I'm looking for? The hipsters like to make fun of. In the gaming world, that's kind of what Call of Duty is.
Sure.
But at the same time, just everybody plays it. Just people you wouldn't expect. Everybody has Call of Duty. So why do people keep coming back, even though a lot of times it, can feel a little cookie cutter?
There's a really awesome answer for this. Honestly, ask the sports guy why he buys Madden every year.
Right.
There's some tweak to this. It's a recipe, right?
Right.
It's a recipe for a first-person shooter, and they decide to make some tweak or to rebalance something. You heard a lot of people complaining about noob tubes in Modern Warfare.
Right.
Black Ops 2, they're almost unusable unless you're playing hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they have flak jacket or not; they're barely usable. You don't see anybody pulling it off. So it's that recalibration. I'm not saying just because of the new two, we bought the new one. That's not it. But That's just one of those small little things that they did. The whole new maps, how are they going to, going from kill streaks to score streaks was a big deal too, because now the guy that's sitting at the back of the spawn shooting down UAVs and counter UAVs and choppers, he's getting his kill streaks just for helping and supporting us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's these small innovations that want us to progress, that want us to go on to the next one. Just like a Madden guy, there's a new juke, there's a new button feature, there's better coaching, there's better careers. It's the same reason why all the Call of Duty non-hipsters continue to buy the game.
I mean, I keep buying the game for the single player, so that's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah, you keep mentioning that. I can't believe there's a campaign mode on this game?
I know, right? I think I'm the only person that actually plays it. So now, so obviously, Ghost is getting a lot of attention at E3, and a lot of people wanted to see it.
Well, sure, it took over Halo, so Microsoft's actually backing that more. It paid a lot of money to get content to be released 60 days before the PlayStation. I mean, that's a big deal. They paid money just to have it first.
Absolutely.
So that's another big thing why I think Microsoft is so behind Activision's offering, because they realize, wow, we're not as successful as we once were in Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, as far as everybody talks about the Call of Duty killer, the COD killer. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be that COD killer? Kind of like there's always that WoW killer, but nobody ever kind of does it. But I think Battlefield is finally. I don't think they're ever going to catch up, but I think if they're going to do it, Battlefield 4 is probably going to be where those major strides are made. So Battlefield 4 is obviously coming out right around the same time as Ghost is, and it was heavily featured at E3.
With good reason.
Yeah, for sure. And so I know that you've rolled a lot of Battlefield with me, and I'm pretty sure we got you up to Colonel in Battlefield
absolutely.
3.
Yeah, I made it there.
So, excellent. So, for you, somebody who... And I remember the talk we had before you bought Battlefield 3. You weren't sure if you were going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, in 3 weeks, I'm just going to be playing, what was it at the time, Black Ops? Yeah, it was Black Ops.
No, that was
Modern Warfare 3.
Yep.
Yeah, so just a couple weeks I'll be playing Modern Warfare 3 and I'll forget about it. So we definitely had some good times on Battlefield 3. But with Battlefield 4, we got the new consoles coming out, Xbox One, PlayStation 4. Battlefield is always a PC-first game. They recognize that's their big seller. And I think now that the consoles can catch up, that's going to be what can possibly bring the COD kids over and maybe spend a little less time on COD, more time on Battlefield. We've got the 64-player maps. We got to see, I think it was Shanghai was the map that we got to see during E3.
Shanghai looked amazing.
I mean, they're pitching Levolution, where there are going to be possible changes throughout the course of the map that are going to impact the way that you play. In the Shanghai map, there's actually, I think it's the C flag, the big tower right in the middle. You can ride an elevator to the top. It even has elevator music, and you get to the top and you can fight it out up there, and everybody down below can actually knock the building down, and you've got like debris flying everywhere, and all of a sudden, that one flag is now completely different. What did you think, man? We watched a little bit last night after the unfortunate Bruins loss.
I'll tell you, I'm insanely impressed, and honestly, Death of Hope is a top tier team. The whole clan would have hopped over for Battlefield 3 if team systems worked better. And honestly, I think that's the only big thing keeping COD players from making a full-time switch.
And that's a big complaint for Battlefield players, too. And that's something I hope DICE is doing this time around. I think they've been pretty conscious of it. I don't know if it was the consoles holding them back, with PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Well, it's the servers.
Well, I don't know if it's just the servers, but it's more like just the actual, clan support and just private matches. Actually, getting MLG to recognize you, you have to have very specific clan support. In Call of Duty, you have the League mode now.
Jay, I'm usually very, very supportive of your opinions. This
right.
is just one of those times that you're wrong.
Okay.
The thing with it is we can hop in as a group of 6 or
right.
4, and yes, sure, we could talk about League play, but even before then, for when we're just talking about publics, hit a button and go matchmaking. Definitely a lot more important now with League play because they'll match you up with people that are in your ladders.
Right.
So you're actually getting competitive experience. You're playing smarter teams. You're playing more strategy. You can't just run and gun the whole time.
Yeah, I think we're talking about two different things because I know what you mean. You just mean in general, just getting together with your friends and jumping in a game. And I totally get that because we run into those problems all the time where even if there's just me, you, and say multi
rebalancing.
Yeah, it like will put 2 of us on one side, one on the other, or like one of us gets in, the other 2 don't. So yeah, I totally get that. That's cool too. I think both aspects that we're talking about both definitely need to be improved because even from like a competitive level, there's literally no support in Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3 where you can actually set up the matches. And they teased it. They teased it with Battlefield 3. They just never launched it. I think Medal of Honor Warfighter was almost like a beta test for the way that they can do like clan support and stuff, because you could actually set up clans in Warfighter and have clan matches, and not just have clan matches, but like on the fly clan matches. There could be a clan sitting ready to go, and you just queue yourself up into the clan mode, and you're having matches. So I think from that aspect, and again, I understand we're talking about two different things in a way. Those are two things that they need to do. Number one, make it easier to play with your friends, and with 64 players in a match, I think it'll be easier to do. Because I don't know. I mean, I guess you can keep 32 on a side, but people drop in and out constantly, so getting that going. But just you're right. The actual lobby system that Call of Duty has makes it really easy as well. You can start a lobby.
So to circle around here and show you that I'm really talking about the same point.
Right.
Right. That's how we practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we don't have 12 squad members on, we can't launch a private match 6-on-6. So we got to take the 6 guys we have and go into publics.
Right.
Right. We can't do that with Battlefield. Right. We could take 4 and try to get into a room. But we add any more than that, and it starts balancing, and it's balanced against each other. So we can rarely, unless we know a whole full another squad, we can rarely get that kind of true practice in against another squad.
I think one of the other things that's going to help is that actual squads have been increased to 5 per squad.
That's huge.
So that'll help keep people together, and private servers really, I think, helped because at launch anyway, it was definitely a little bit more frustrating. But once the private servers started coming in, you could rent your own server for a month and set the teams up as you wanted. Getting the rooms to fill up is another story. So that kind of goes back to the balancing and the matchmaking. But yeah, I agree. I think that's really the only area that DICE has never really been good at, and I think that there's really a great opportunity to get better with Battlefield 4, and I think they're going to do that. And I think what I'm most excited for is with especially on the consoles, actually specifically on the consoles, because it was always 12 on 12. It's these huge maps made for PC, and you're just hunting for people half the time. Unless you're on, Metro or, maybe Sign Crossing and, stuff like that, you're hunting people. Tehran Highway a little bit, but like when you start getting into Caspian Border or any of the newer maps from, Endgame or the one that came before it, I'm totally blanking now. Some of those maps were like
Forgive me, but I
Bandar
can't help
Desert.
you either.
Yeah, I understand. Like Bandar Desert, I think was their biggest map ever, and on console, it's like there's all these great things to do and great places to go, but
You'll never see anybody.
Exactly. So with 64 people, I think that's going to be pretty huge. I distinctly remember being in line for Modern Warfare 3, long line, and Battlefield 3 had been out for a few weeks, and I think a lot of people in that line kind of took the approach you took, where they picked up Battlefield 3 to kill a little bit of time in between Modern Warfare 3.
Sure, because we were done with Modern Warfare very early on.
Right.
It was not. It was definitely not the game we wanted it to be.
Yeah, but I just distinctly remember this one girl that was in line near me, and like the restraint that I showed was impeccable and remarkable. So she's like bitching about how you spawn and you have to walk for a mile and you don't see anybody and then you die, and this game was just terrible, and I think because Call of Duty is such a fast-paced game, this is going to really benefit the Battlefield community, trying to retain people that
for the
average
for the same reason, Jay.
Yeah.
Same exact reason is why it won't take over.
Sure, because the matches are still going to be long.
Or
you look at a Call of Duty match.
Coordinating 64. It's not even length. I'd play
Right.
I loved the 40-minute games we were playing. Caspian Border.
Right.
I loved those games. When we were playing the domination game type.
Right.
I love that. Honestly, it was so much fun. You get so immersed in the battle.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely not the game type. It's 64 and 64. I mean, coordinating that. I mean, Commander better be something special. The Commander mode better be something
right.
special. Because if you can coordinate squads to actually hold down and have points and earn extra points because you're listening to your commander,
right?
Then maybe my skepticism will go away.
Yeah. So it is interesting though, because I guess maybe this is the word I'm looking for, ignorant of me to think this, but I think the attention span of a Call of Duty player that's steady with that is a little bit different than maybe a Battlefield player, because we're so used to these long epic matches, and the average Call of Duty match is what, like 6-7 minutes, 8 minutes.
Yeah,
you're kind of
depending on game mode, but yeah, 7-8 minutes. You're right, absolutely.
Yeah, you're kind of in and out, and I've played with a lot of people, that are more used to Call of Duty, and that always seemed like a complaint, like, man, is this match over yet? It's so long and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a much faster pace because there's so many people that you can kind of run into. Now, you brought up the Commander mode, and I'm super intrigued by that. I've got my iPad waiting. I'm going to be MLG iPad guy for Battlefield 4 with the Commander mode. It's Battlefield players pride themselves on team play, and this is just kind of like that next level of team play where you actually have somebody that can I think you can do it from your console too, but I think it's really geared for people that are using a tablet, where you can actually sit there on a tablet and kind of dictate the battle and call in missile strikes.
Yeah, that video where the girl's sitting on her couch playing on one various Android tablet compared to the other. They don't really matter, but and touchscreen around, showing points of attack, and then launching that Tomahawk missile. I mean, it's impressive. It's about time.
Commander mode I think was in Battlefield 2, so it's definitely pretty cool to see him bring it back. Other things that were really interesting, there's a lot of customizations when it comes to the vehicles now. They've separated some of the perks, but even bigger than that, the naval warfare seems to have stepped up quite a bit. I definitely look forward to ejecting with a jet ski instead of having my boat get ripped to shreds and have to hope I
a pontoon
swim.
boat.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think? What do you think of what we saw with the Shanghai map overall?
I mean, I guess I didn't really say it well enough before. The team play the gunplay, the map dynamics, the game types, I think are all better on Battlefield. And I don't think that's going to change on Battlefield 4. I think they're just taking it even more so to the next level. Now, granted, we watched 6 minutes of gameplay.
Right, sure.
And I'm still saying, awesome. They kept the same recipe, and they made it better. I mean, when you saw that C flag drop when they dropped the tower, or even when they dropped the tank, I mean, that was impressive. I mean, that's better than anything Call of Duty does. Sure. Anything. I mean, yeah, sure, Call of Duty's got some cool sights in the game, like the MMS scope was very intuitive. I mean, just some cool things going on with it, but it's all shooter-based. That whole dynamic of having vehicles and ground support and ground troops and making them, capable of doing it, or competing against aircraft or tanks, is good, but it's so much better in Battlefield.
So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens. Again, they're going to be launching pretty much within a few weeks of each other this time around, and I think they're both launch titles for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
they're going to kind of be on equal footing as far as that goes. Battlefield 4 is coming out a few weeks before the Xbox One. It's probably going to be the only game that I buy on both consoles, the Xbox One and the 360, just because, got to get that Battlefield in. I don't know if I can wait.
Withdrawals.
Yeah, that's how we do it. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more. I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff to come. Last but not least, I think
they might both be in trouble. Both games might be in trouble.
Exactly, because I think one of the biggest noisemakers at E3 this year was the former Infinity Ward, if you will, Respawn Entertainment. They finally announced their game. It is Titanfall. It is an Xbox One exclusive, and it is dope, to say the least. It is. I think it's actually multiplayer only, and it's a mech-based shooter. You do a little bit of both, and we both checked it out a little bit more last night. I thought you were pretty impressed.
Impressed is an understatement. Honestly, this is like the culmination of Halo. So where we play Battlefield and we play Call of Duty, right? There's no shields involved. You have a health bar. You know what I mean? You go in and it's this quote unquote realistic, right? Nobody actually wants a realistic shooter because it would be boring. But the point, it's almost like it's Halo all over again, right? So when you get your Titan and you drop in your Titan, it's almost like when you hop in your tank in Battlefield. It becomes like an exterior shield. You're not mushy. It's going to take somebody or two people to take you out of your mech, and then you can eject and fight and keep fighting, right? So it's almost like having a shield. They kind of brought that dynamic back. You know what I mean? Where not everything on the field is mushy. Like you have to also use your resources smartly. You're not just going to walk your mech right into the middle of the battlefield so they can take it out.
Hey, man, my name's John Thuckin' Rambo, and sometimes I like to kick the door and just shoot people. So, yeah. But, Titanfall, I really think there's it's a little bit, when you kind of bring up Halo, and we also talk about Call of Duty, obviously, because of, the background of Respawn, but I really feel like this is going to be an opportunity to bring something really different at the same time to the first-person shooter, genre and community, because there's just that just different enough dynamic to it, where it's got that futuristic Halo, sci-fi, feel to it, but it also has that, Call of Duty, war type, realistic feel.
Yeah, the human being behind it.
Sure.
Right.
So, with Infinity Ward or Respawn, being comprised of mostly ex-Infinity Ward, people, is this something that, I know I've already seen, as far as, your clan goes, people responding to it. Is this something that you think instantly gets on, the average Call of Duty player's radar just because, of the association?
Absolutely. Unquestionably. Like you had mentioned well earlier in this podcast that, the kind of Call of Duty fanboy, and I hate to keep reusing that word, but that Call of Duty fanboy they're an Infinity Ward fanboy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They buy something because it's got their name on it. You know what I mean? That just automatically happens with Titanfall. They're like, wait a minute, is this that excitement we got when we downloaded the Call of Duty 4 beta and we just dropped into something totally new and totally exciting and all these new dynamics that we have to learn to use. Right now it's just all we do is we perfect our team mechanics. Titanfall adds this whole other aspect of it. So yeah, absolutely. I think Titanfall sells well more than people are expecting to, just because it's got Infinity Ward on it. And then if it's an amazing game, forget it.
And when you kind of pair that with the exclusivity of Call of Duty, the timed exclusivity of all the DLC and Titanfall in general just being exclusive to Xbox. I mean, I guess it's going to be on the PC, so I mean people can play it there. But I mean, I really think that these are going to have that effect that Microsoft wants, where it's a console seller, because it's pretty much not a secret that Call of Duty sells significantly more on the 360 so far, and I kind of expect that to carry over with the Xbox One.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Especially after they dropped all the DRM nonsense this week. So yeah, those I think are the three big shooters that we need to be excited for from E3 this year, and we're definitely going to be talking a lot more about them in the coming months. But there's also another genre that's sort of emerging, and I just want to touch on it now. Both games are third-person shooters, and we're definitely going to cover those as well here on the Shockcast. But I think these two games might have turned more heads than the other three games that we already talked about combined, and that is Tom Clancy's The Division from Ubisoft and Destiny from Bungie, the former makers of Halo, as we mentioned. What are your thoughts as shooters, now becoming more of an MMO? How do you think that's going to work?
Well, it's been tried before and failed. There's been a couple. I don't want to say high profile, let's say mid profile games that came out that they tried to make it work. The problem is you'd either end up on a really overcrowded battle space and it just wasn't very fun, or you ended up on this open world where you're just fighting bots the whole time.
Right.
Based on what we saw in the Division, my mind was blown. Now, one thing nobody knows about Death of Hope is we take our off time by playing MMOs. Like, that's how we kind of break away from the first-person shooter scene and kind of take a rest, and we level up. We play some RPGs, mostly, in the form of MMO. Our entire clan plays MMOs. I don't want to say religiously, but between the height of each season, both on the semi-pro and pro level for first-person shooters, we spend our time on MMOs to break away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you see a Division?
Yeah, it breaks the mold. I mean, we saw 8 minutes of gameplay.
Right.
Granted, they try to show, and here's my problem with the trailers: they try to show you too much. Right?
Yeah.
I would have rather seen them break out 5 clips to show you the different pieces of it, which I'm sure they're going to do later on. I mean, they definitely just want to get people's mouth watering.
Right.
Take the looting system from Diablo and mix it with the shooting system of Gears of War and kind of like the gadgets from Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Sure.
So
I think for me, just the ability. I'm a huge fan of RPGs. As I mentioned, that's kind of one of the styles of game I kind of grew up with. I mean, I distinctly remember playing the first Final Fantasy on the original Nintendo. So I mean, it's I like the RPG aspects of an MMO, And I really think, just the thought of, kind of bringing Borderlands type gameplay, not the over the top, but this is more obviously realistic, but bringing that Borderlands style gameplay to an open world where there are going to be other people, almost that DayZ kind of vibe too, where, at the end of that video that we saw for The Division, there's another group kind of approaching them, and you don't know if they're friendly or hostile. I'm wondering how that mechanic's going to work, because I think of like Grand Theft Auto multiplayer and people just running around and just being dicks to each other. I'm wondering how that's going to work out.
I mean, to be fair, that happens in all of MMOs. The question is, like, is it based on what server you hop in? Are you flagged for PvP at all times, and whenever you just decide to run into a group and they just want to shoot at you or not? So
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be more you sign up for a certain type of server,
Right.
A PvE server,
right.
versus PvP. I don't think they'll break the MMO like world that much with it. I think it's more like you're not just pointing and hitting an ability to attack something. It's you're now using actual shooter-based skills along with all this really cool RPG. I mean, very a la Mass Effect, right?
Sure.
It's your character's level that determined how much you could do, but it was your shooting skill that determined how far you were going to make it.
Right.
So I think they're going to borrow a little bit from that, to make it really work better.
And it's funny because I think for a lot of people, and myself included, everybody was really fired up about Destiny going into it, and Destiny is doing kind of the same thing. Bungie, obviously... I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Hiccups. Anyway, I think for a lot of people, Destiny was that game going in that was going to be that, build that mold, and The Division for me kind of came out of nowhere, and I think the realism is really what kind of draws me to it, where it's real people. I wish they could do a different city other than Manhattan, or New York, because New York seems to be in every game. But Destiny is, I almost feel like it got overshadowed a little bit. Maybe it's just because of the way I watched everything. But what do you think about? I don't know if you've seen as much of Destiny as you have The Division, but what do you think of what you've seen so far of Destiny and it being kind of the same kind of role, only more of a sci-fi level?
Yeah, for me, it almost fell into like a Fallout category.
Sure.
So where Destiny for me looked more FPS than it did MMO.
Right.
Right. It's the Division. I'm sorry, other way around. The Division looks more FPS with MMO.
Right.
I really think that Destiny looked RPG with FPS in it. So I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm definitely going to buy both. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm definitely going to buy both. But I think knowing me and the way I want to play and why I gravitated so much towards Mass Effect when it came out.
Right.
I see me playing the Division more, and I think that's kind of what happened. Is that on E3, all these shooters were like, "Whoa, I like those games too. This is cool." And I think that's why Destiny kind of was in the background.
Sure. Well, I think for the PlayStation guys, Destiny was definitely more forefront because PlayStation brought it out there and said, "Hey, this is Bungie on our stage." You remember them from the Xbox stage, and here they are with us. So I know that they're really focused on that. I'm stoked for both games too. It's really tough not to like what I saw with Destiny. Both of them, I think it's kind of funny that I think they're both going to bring the tablet into play too, and that really seemed to be the theme of E3, integrating the tablet and into the gameplay. Seeing a guy just hop on his tablet while he's probably hitting the john and mark out people for the Division. That was pretty
that
cool.
Little drone.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Honestly, the tablet thing is game makers realizing that casual games are not the only thing that's going to end up on your phone and your tablet.
Right.
They're realizing that guys take the train to work. They want to do something on their way. You know what I mean? They want to stay apart when they're on a part of their clan when they're on a business trip. They want to do something. So this gives us that little like, hey, I got 10 minutes. Let me hop in and out of something. See who's on. Oh, you guys need something? Here you go. They're just playing it smart, man. They realize that everybody's always connected all the time, and especially gamers. I mean, gamers are like the ultimate techies right now. So why not utilize that? I know very rarely. I don't know very many gamers that don't have a tablet.
Absolutely. So wrapping up, another great year for shooters in E3. One that we're not going to spend much time on today, but I want to mention it in passing, is one that's going to probably be the big game of E3 next year. And Star Wars, obviously, George Lucas recently sold Star Wars to Disney, and they decided they decided to go ahead, and Disney, that being they, decided to go ahead and close down LucasArts, which was really sad because they were working on some pretty cool stuff. They were working on a game called Star Wars 1313, which for me was like the game of E3 2012, the game I was most excited about. And there was also another game that they were working on that was Star Wars First Assault, which was going to be an FPS a la Battlefront. And it really made sense when Disney announced that they were going to bring EA to the table and have DICE.
DICE of all people.
Right. DICE was going to be one of the studios that was going to make a Star Wars game. BioWare, which obviously, again, makes a lot of sense. And the third studio is the one that made the Dead Space games, and totally blanking. I should have marked that in our notes. But, those three studios are going to be working on Star Wars games. So it obviously made sense for DICE to be the one that brought Battlefront back to the forefront. And they hit us with a teaser. It shows one of the big AT-AT walkers walking through a snowy Hoth, and big Battlefront logo comes to the screen. So I know that you're a big Star Wars fan like I am.
Absolutely.
The thought of DICE doing Battlefront, like, how exciting is that?
I mean, the original Battlefront is still to this day in my top 10 games of all time.
Absolutely.
I wasted so many hours playing that game. I mean, wasted in a good way,
Absolutely.
So to revitalize the IP, but bring along with it, in my opinion, one of the best innovative game designers currently out right now, as far as shooting or map design and the kind of the things that made Battlefront so good in the first place. Giving it to DICE was like the greatest thing that ever happened. So I'm pretty excited about Battlefront 3. I look forward to it'll be one of those things that I'm flagging in my feeds to just catch a new glimpse of anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, so exciting times. I just wanted to mention that in passing because, man, I know I'm a huge Star Wars dork. As we played a ton of the Old Republic together with your Death of Hope guys. Kind of bringing in that whole MMO aspect of that you were mentioning. So I'm looking forward to hopefully BioWare. Maybe bring back Knights of the Old Republic, but that'll be for our RPG podcast that we hopefully can do in the future. But for now, I think that's a good point. We went way longer than we thought we would, but it was all good things, I think. This is a work in progress, guys. We're gonna be doing this quite often. I don't know if it's gonna be weekly or bi-weekly. We'll figure it out. But I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you, Mark, for taking the time and chatting with me.
Hey, enough of the government names. Any of you shooters that want to come at me, it's Madman Space XDHX.
All right, there we go. So Madman and J Shock Blast, we're gonna go ahead and sign out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're excited about, and let us know Battlefield 4 or Call of Duty Ghost, which is gonna be the best shooter of the year, if you will, or maybe it's something else. But for now, I'm Jay Shockblast signing out. Peace.
And Madman, peace.